Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Might be a delay. It's not my fault. Bonnie, you can put, oh, I guess Bonnie would be a Jedi. It's totally fair. All right, I guess that's okay.
Okay. It's working now.
All right, yeah, George just messaged me and said it was working until just now. So, okay. Okay, I'll pick up. So we had made plans to go to the new Galaxy's Edge Hotel because it's all immersive and you have to get dressed up and be characters. And we would always really obsess and haunt these message boards and stuff to see if they would allow us to be Jedi, or if we just had to be generic people. And we had these whole debates like, is it worth it if we can't be Jedi? I don't know why. We just were obsessed with being Jedi in this hotel, but it was a thing for us. And we were working out all those things too. When Galaxy's Edge opened, that was a very big deal for us too, and we could always talk about it. There's so many things that Berek and I shared, and I think that I loved sharing things with him because his enthusiasm for anything that you were into or he was into was just infectious. You know, he was such a good listener that I think it's hard to tell that if he was actually interested or not interested in what you were talking about. He just loved listening to you. If you were excited about something, if you cared about something, Berek would listen with his whole self. He would make you feel like whatever you were saying was vital and important and interesting. And I loved talking to him for that. And I tried to give back to him. I hope I did. I tried to be that listener too when he wanted to talk. You know, he had such wonderful presence. I remember when he went into the hospital, and he was in the hospital after he'd had his first leg removed. And I went in and I said, you know, I know that it was weighing on him. It was very hard to come to terms with that. So me being the helpful person I am, I came in the hospital room and I sat down and I said, I hope you're prepared to hear every single one-legged man joke I have, because I'm just gonna lay them all on you now. And I did. I said, I want to be the first one in there. And so I wanted to make him laugh. You know, I hope I did. And I wanted to make him understand that he was still himself in every capacity, and he should never feel diminished in any way by his health or anything that was going on. You know, he was still just, all of him was just wonderful. If you've never had a hug from Berek, I am sad for you, because you will never experience the wonderfulness that is a hug from him. I don't like hugging. Those people who know me know this. And I always find it awkward, people touching me and stuff too. He was probably one of the only people who could hug me and made me feel every single, he could just hug me hello, and he made me feel like he loved me. It was in every single hug he gave you. He made you feel like this was something he wanted. He wanted to embrace you. He wanted to hug you. He wanted you to understand how important you were to him. And if you've never heard him laugh, again, I'm sorry for you, because he had this quiet laugh. He wasn't very loud. He had this wonderful quiet laugh. And it was just so sincere and full of affection that I loved making him laugh. So I would go out of way and do things like the one-legged man jokes, and now he could cosplay, you know, Darth Maul, and all these different things I could do just so I can hear him laugh. I would bring up stories from comic books that we both read, and just to see his expression, just to hear him. And if I'd bring up something crazy, just so he would go, what? You know, are you kidding? And just, he was so expressive. I just wanted to bask in that. Berek in this world made this world more loved. Just being in it. And I hope that everybody watching this remembers that. And if you hadn't known Berek too well, I just hope you remember that. Even if he didn't know you, he loved you. Even if he only knew you a little and you were just a friend on his periphery, he loved you. His family he adored. His world was Becca and Jason and his brother, Cammy and his mom and everybody. But he loved all of us. And I would like to say that when you go out in the world, next time you hug someone, think about that. Think about hugging that person the way Berek would have hugged you, as if he wanted you to know without words how much you were cared for, because that's the kind of person he was. I think I'm going to leave it there so we could go to the next person.
I think that's me.
Yeah.
I was gonna write something down, but that failed terribly. So I think you get the random ramblings instead. I've known Berek longer than some of my friends have been alive, and that's only slightly terrifying. As Lucy mentioned, we met sophomore year of college at Brandeis. I went to see my dorm mate perform in Rocky Horror, and she introduced me to this dude who was pretending to ride an invisible motorcycle, very much looking the part. And it kind of went from there. We spent all of that year not going to class and wasting our parents' money, basically. And some of us still turned in the work, some of us did not. But once he moved back to California, we talked a little bit on the phone. The various chat things were not quite as ubiquitous because we're ancient. But mostly we met up either when somebody was getting married or in the hospital. And after one of us had some somewhat life-altering medical things, and then the other one of us had some life-altering medical things, we said, it's not a competition, Berek. You're good. You don't need to do better. But Berek kind of always did his own thing, so here we are. He did the little things that change your life in ways you don't necessarily notice while they're happening. But he was always there to go see nerdy movies and, difficult movies about people having cancer. And he was there to go to Broadway shows with and theater. And he was the friend who knew about Broadway and American history and did not make fun of me for absolutely not knowing where any state ever is or who was number which president or any of the other things that I did not get to learn in American school. But he was such a fixture in my life that I don't think I ever had considered what it is like without him in it. Even when we didn't see each other for months and months at a time, he was always there. He was in the chat about the LARP that we were running. He was commenting on the various gaming and not gaming things in Facebook. I remember when he drove from California here to move out here for the second time. We talked on the phone for a couple of hours while he was driving because it's a really, really boring drive through some state I don't remember that was full of blizzard. And I had said, I've told you all about the different LARPs I've been in, but I started doing this thing with these other people, and there's werewolves, and you like werewolves? It's even in your handle. So like, maybe you'll enjoy this. And dragged him to Rage and dragged him to Hidden Flame. And the rest was sort of history. He was part of the friends group, part of the events and the staffs at various games at various times. And it was amazing to watch him fit into a sort of completely new and different friends group. But he did, because that's what he did. He liked everyone. He had something in common with everyone, and he seamlessly joined groups like that. And because it's Berek, I feel sort of the need to bring Broadway lyrics into things, because you have to. So I'm gonna read a chunk of this song to you because I think it's really appropriate, and you are all grateful that I'm not going to try to sing it. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn. And we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. And I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I am who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And it's somebody else's turn.
It's going to be hard to follow that. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes? No? Okay. Before I start, because I wasn't as smart as Lucy, so I didn't videotape this ahead of time. I did write a speech, and my speeches are notoriously nerdy, so I apologize. So one thing I want to get out of the way is I'm totally Mandalorian and not Sith, because money's important to me. No, it's not actually at all. But when the news came about Berek, I had actually just bought a physical copy of a role-playing game that we both wanted to try on Roll20. So I literally was actually going online to message him that it came when I got the news. But with that, when Berek moved out of California, I think it was the first or second time, I don't remember which, he gave me some of his old role-playing stuff. One of which is all of his old D&D characters. So I'm going to set up a Roll20 link where we all play Berek's old characters. I'll put the link up on Facebook. I hope you like playing good characters. I think there's one not even bad character. I think there's like a chaotic neutral character in here, and that's it. Everything else is strangely enough lawful. And if you want to play a cleric that has a Batman symbol for his shield, please feel free. So I'm getting that out of the way before I start talking, because I don't even know if I can make it through the speech. I am notoriously, for a guy that is very Mandalorian-esque, a guy that cries at the drop of a hat. So you might see me go off screen for 1 second, but I'm going to try to get through this as best as I can. Here we go. Wish me luck, because I'm going to need it. Oscar Wilde, wow. Oscar Wilde once wrote that hearts live by being wounded. It's very similar to one of my favorite quotes of all time by Viktor Frankl, which is, "That which gives light must endure burning." And I think it's appropriate, and it's also somewhat how some of us feel right now, a little bit hurt and burned, because this great light of our lives is gone. But he's not entirely either. I was friends with both Berek and his brother Ben. I knew Ben before Berek. I kind of met Berek online. I was talking to Ben either like on social media or something, and it was, this is not going to come to a shock, it was about the new Werewolf the Forsaken as opposed to Werewolf the Apocalypse. And if you go into my office, which I probably should have done this at, now think about it, the entire back wall is all World of Darkness books and stuff like that, but it's all the old school stuff, because I'm a very old school guy. and I was complaining about some of the new settings, and all of a sudden Berek just jumped in, and we just started having this conversation about it. And I'm like, who is this guy that knows everything that I do? Because that's never happened before. And then me and Ben Ben jumped in making some kind of joke, and then me and Berek just wound Ben up. And if you know Ben, he was a very hard person to wind up. But me and Berek had that tag team combination where we could just get the right jabs in to get him kind of under his skin. Initially, a lot of my interaction with him was online. And then there's something was happening where we all met up to go to a sushi restaurant, and it was Berek, Ben, a lot of our friends. We showed up a little bit late, and I usually like to show up early when I'm meeting new people, just so I can get a handle on where people are at. I get really uncomfortable if I'm the guy walking in late, like, hi, I'm this random jerk, because I am. And it was very sweet because I knew what Berek looked like at that point. So as I walked in, he immediately ran up and he gave me a hug. And it was, I'm very much I think it was Michelle or Anna that said it. I'm very much a don't hug me kind of person. In fact, it's usually a good way to get a trip to the emergency hospital because I just don't like being touched. But when Berek hugged me, it was just like hugging an old friend that I've known for centuries. And we just sat down and started talking. And it was this person that physically, it's the first time I've met him, at least in the real world. And we're just having a conversation like we've always done this before. And he was that type of person. You just instantly were at ease with him. And that night it was, we were leaving, and ironically it was Black Friday. And he had asked me if we had talked at some point about something. And it was, did you go to the Black Friday sales and pick up that game I know you really wanted? And I said, no, I didn't, because I got it. Thank you. I didn't because we have a lot of friends, and we have a lot of mutual friends. And I was like, my money's a little low. I want to buy holiday gifts for everybody. I just can't afford it. I have bills, that kind of thing. And it was when I said I wanted to spend my money on other people rather than myself, he just got this giant smile. And he's like, hold on one second. He runs to his car and he brings out a copy of the game. And he's like, I thought you would say something like that. And he just hands it to me. And I was just flabbergasted because I don't even remember. I still to this day don't remember telling him about it. It just probably came up because, as you guys know, when you talk to Berek, you could talk about anything and you just instantly have this amazing conversation. You get excited, he gets excited, and this excitement builds in a conversation. So it was out of my mind, and here he is with this game, meaning he went to the early sale, got it, just knowing we were going to meet up that night. And that's the type of person he was. And I think it's kind of that probably why we're all hurting from the loss. Berek was a person that exemplified what humankind could be. Kind, just, hopeful. We kind of hurt because we know someone good is not here anymore, and of all the things that could have been, that he could have done, aren't available anymore. I think it's important for us to admit this. Shakespeare once said, if you give sorrow words, the grief that does not speak binds it up the overwrought heart and bids it to break. I should not try to quote Shakespeare when I'm trying not to sneeze and cry. So the time, I think we kind of do have to take a little bit of time to be sad, in my case to be angry, but not to let that ever overshadow the good that was Berek. Never let your negative emotions ever overflow over what the good that Berek was, that this great man was. Shakespeare also said, but if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. Berek's soul is in the sky. His goodness, his kindness, his charm, his bullheaded stubbornness, which I loved, because he beat me on that one, and that's hard to do. It's all still with us because he's still with you. If you're listening to me ramble on for what probably feels like an eternity, it does to me, you must know that your lives were both touched by Berek and also brightened by him. And I said this something similar at his brother's funeral, but just the fact that you're a friend of Berek, that he was a person that took interest in you, means that you are in fact a good person. Maybe a little Sith-like in some applications, but he didn't associate. He associated with everybody, but I think he only called true, decent people his friends. So if you can hear the sound of my voice, it means you're a good person. That's kind of impressive in the world today. In the days that come, when you remember Berek, please remember how he made you feel, not just what happened. Grief is the price we pay for love. The greater the person, the greater the price. It is when I will gladly play just to say that I knew this great man. And in doing so, I can truly say the man was my friend. And I'm crying like a bitch, so I'm stopping talking now. Somebody else follow me up, please, quickly.
I think that's me, yes?
Yeah, but
All
hang on
right.
I'm not sure if the
Oh,
stream
On
working.
the list, it's me.
Hang on. Let me
Sure.
make sure that the stream's stable. Okay, it's working on the end, so good.
All right. Yes? Okay. I am glad that, oh, I'm Berek's uncle. And that means Ben's uncle too. And their dad, Bill, is my brother. And I've known Berek longer than any of you from the first, few days. And when he was through all of the difficulties, I was sadly but fortunately able to be up at the hospital to take him to a Spider-Man movie before the surgery, which was just torture for me. And so I was very, and of course, Becca was very kind because she texted me that in the midst of all of this at the hospital, she said I seemed to make him laugh. So I'm glad for that. And I'm glad for Becca. And I'm glad that Becca mentioned Disney, which I know was Disneyland was his happy place. And so I kind of wrote out something for him, and I don't like past tense. So this is actually to Berek. So Berek, when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. If your heart is in your dream, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, as dreamers do. We pillage, we plunder, we rifle and loot. Drink up, me hearties, yo-ho. We kidnap and ravage and don't give a hoot. Leap up, my hearties, yo-ho. Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me. Berek, I would only do this for you. I'm singing the rides. And not only are they hard to find, the lyrics are terrible. Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me. We're beggars and blighters and ne'er-do-well cads. Drink up, me hearties, yo-ho. Aye, but we're loved by our mommies and dads. Yeah, that's actually the lyric. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of everyday carousel progress. Great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a dream away. This is the worst one, I promise. Man has a dream, and that's the start. He follows his dream with mind and heart. And when it becomes a reality, it's a dream come true for you and me. So there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow commercial for General Electric of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away. Let's all sing like the birdies sing. Tweet, 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 tweet. Let's all sing like the birdies sing. Sweet, 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 sweet. Let's all warble like nightingales. Give your throat a treat. Take your time from the birds, now we all know the words. Tweet, 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 tweet. I lied. This is the worst one. It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. It's a world of hope and a world of fears. There's so much that we share that it's time we're aware. It's a small world after all. Diese Welt ist ja so klein. Diese Welt ist ja so klein. Diese Welt ist ja so klein. Diese Welt der wundervollen wir Brüder sein. Oh, God. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's enough. Fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Okay, Dennis, I think you're up.
Yeah. You know, if you hadn't introduced yourself, Daniel, I would still know that you are Berek's family. I'm Dennis, and I know Berek. Well, I met him initially through LARP, and I'm so grateful that I did. This has been such an adventure. I'm really delighted and not at all surprised at what I've heard from everyone. I decided that I wanted to talk about Berek being kind, gentle, generous, and soft in all the best ways. And there is so much to tell that would prove all of those things. He was present from the very first moment that I met him in a way that shocks you. When you first meet someone and they are really there with you and they engage and you can tell that you're heard, and you can tell that they're hooked and they're interested. And it was uplifting. Every exchange was uplifting. And that was such a gift. He loved to listen and he loved to tell stories. He was a storyteller in life and in some of the games that kept a lot of us out here on the East Coast. I can't really say sane, but closer, and help make life bearable. And bringing it back to that softness, Berek made it safe for you to share and to feel and to connect with him. We've talked a lot about Berek and love, and it can be difficult as an adult to love a new person. I suppose it can be difficult as anyone, but Berek just never gave me any doubt that I had lucked out, made a phenomenal new friend, and that it was safe to give him all of the love that I felt like, which was all of it. I hugged that man just so much. I could not soak up enough softness. A belly, very helpful for hugging. A cloud of soft hair. A soft voice. He just carried this gentle, kind warmth into every space and into every interaction. And that's not to say that he was always subdued. Of course not. Berek would get phenomenally excited and he lit things up. But that too, there's a way to be excited that invites everyone else to get fired up with you. And that was him too. Years ago, I was in rather dire financial straits, and my car was destroyed by a Dunkin' Donuts delivery truck, which I'll have you know marks me as cursed by the gods of New England. And that was it for me. You know, I don't know how I would have made it work. It was not within my power to replace my vehicle. And Berek and Anna reached out to me, and he just bought a used car from a friend, and they knew that car was decent and knew that I needed a car and he could do it, and he was recklessly generous. And I cannot quite express how meaningful that was, but more than that one instance, it's how meaningful it is to encounter someone who can inspire that generosity in others. When I think about what I want to carry forward, that I got from Berek or that was inspired by Berek. So much of it is that fearless love. Um, you know, I'll have you know that I wrote some notes. I had an outline, and it was a bit more linear. But I know that all of you understand. There are just so many moments to share. I'm going to leave it there.
And that makes it my turn. My nerves are now fried because I've listened to all of you beautiful people. For those of you who don't know, I am Berek's ex-wife. My name is Peta. And as you can tell, even though I am his ex-wife, I still deeply cared for him. And he deeply cared for me too. We still maintained our friendship even after the divorce, which, if that doesn't say anything to you about his character, I don't know what would. He saw the best in me all the time. And even in our separation, he still saw the best in me. I mean, what ex-husband would drive as he's moving off to Massachusetts, stop off in Ohio to drop off some things that he knew that I would want and that I would like, and we would spend time together. What ex-husband would come to Ohio for a gaming convention, although that might have been the real draw, is the gaming convention, but spend a time with his ex-wife at a gaming convention. And again, speaking to the generosity, also bring gifts and just be the kind of person that Berek was always meant to be. I said this in the last memorial, but it's hereditary. Bill was that way, Ben was that way, and Berek was that way. And I couldn't be any more blessed than to be a part of that family. And even though I don't carry their last name, I still feel like I'm part of that family. I have had amazing memories with all of them. I actually met Ben when I was 15 years old, and I'm 40 now, if that gives you any indication. I met Berek shortly thereafter, and yes, he was a cloud of fuzzy hair and a belly that was absolutely amazing and one of the best huggers on the planet. And the world will definitely be more worse off because Berek is gone. But some of the things that I remember, especially around this time of year, was when we had our small apartment together. And Berek is Jewish and I'm Christian. And we, even though I was wanting to decorate, he didn't have a problem with this because his grandparents would decorate a Christmas tree. And so this was something that he was fine with. But we had a tiny apartment, so where were we going to put this tree? Bill actually happened to find this tiny, like 2.5, 3 foot tall tree, and we decorated that thing with all the superhero ornaments you could imagine. And we nicknamed it our Chinooka bush because that's what it was. I still have very fond memories of the holidays. Speaking of generosity, those boys and men who would go on Black Friday and wait up for like TVs and things to give to people because that's the way that they were. And you're talking about inspiring. I wouldn't be crying here in front of all of you people if it weren't for the Marcus family. I was not very emotional, in touch with my emotional side of things. My family, love was implied. You wouldn't really just openly say, I love you. Not in the Marcus family, that wasn't true. They would say it all the time, they would give it out to anyone and everyone that they knew because that was how they were. And because of that, I say I love you to everyone that I love because it is so important. Even to my parents, who now also do the same thing. This is how far-reaching Berek and his family have been to me and my family and to the people that I touch now. And so you're saying inspiring, we are actually passing this on to other people. And it's so important that we continue that work, even though Berek is gone. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it because I don't know that I can make any more.
Hi, I think I'm next. My name is Jody, and it's hard to talk after so many emotional and beautiful words. So I'm one of Berek's friends from college. I met him because of Anna and another mutual friend at Brandeis. And it was Dennis who said just a few minutes ago that Berek made you feel safe. And that was exactly what I knew I had to say first, because college can be hard, right? You know, it's a time when you're going through so much change. You don't know who you are. You can feel really alone. And when I was a sophomore and then a junior and I met Berek, he just made you feel safe, and he giggled in the best way. And as everyone has said, when he hugged you, you felt safe and warm and like everything was going to be okay, even when they were scary. And I think we all could use that right now. I think another wonderful thing about Berek was just his amazing enthusiasm for everything. And my silly story is that Berek and I went to see a 10 a.m. showing of Phantom Menace, you know, before we knew how the prequels would be, in 1999 in college. And I'll never forget sitting in the theater. It was the first Star Wars film in so long, and watching the Lucasfilm come up on the screen and both of us just sitting there like this. And it was okay to be that excited and geeked out and overjoyed. And it's so wonderful to have someone who gives you that permission to be geeked out and excited and love life that way. And, you know, we didn't know about Jar Jar Binks yet. It was still just the opening credits. And so I'm really lucky. And I feel unequal to this task because it's been so long since I saw Berek in person. But that's the thing about living in different places. We always had LiveJournal after college, and then we had Facebook, and you have that sense that someone is with you even when they're not. And then when I did see him in person in LA in 2009, it was like you could pick just back up again, like no time had passed. And I'll always remember just having this perfect day with a friend who would pick me up at LAX in the middle of the night. You know, that's a friend. And I had never been to LA as an adult, and we drove out to Santa Monica, and it was just so wonderful to have someone show me his city, you know, where he was from, and convey that joy. And as all of you have said, Berek was so present that once you started talking, you were just off to the races. So I am so grateful for that perfect day. And I am so grateful for the last time I saw him, which was in Wisconsin, and it was a whole decade ago. But I just remember getting to meet some of his other wonderful friends who are here, and just getting to be present with him. So I will always think of Berek when I think of Disney World. And that was another thing that was okay with him, that it was okay to love this cheesy, over the top, ridiculous place. And that was allowed, right? And that was joy. so I guess, Berek, I will put lots of wishes in the wishing well for you the next time I'm there. And I don't think I have anything else intelligent to say except that Berek was loved and was like a being of pure light, like just warm presence and love in a way that you don't meet people like that very often, if ever. And he always was that way. So that's all.
I think that's me. Everyone can hear me okay? Okay. I think I've known Berek the least amount of time among the folks here. I met him, like many do, through LARP, but I met him at a time when I suffered the most from severe social anxiety and agoraphobia. And one of the strongest moments for me was how inclusive Berek was from the moment I met him. Asking me for the first time, "Are you a hugger?" and giving me one of those amazing hugs, which I would look forward to, which I would pull into, you know, the place's driveway and be like, I wonder if Berek is here today. And throughout my time playing, it became, I wonder if Becca and Berek are here today. I wonder if Jace is here today. Not that other folks there didn't bring me joy, because they all do, and I love their faces. But because Berek had this instinctual knowledge of feeling when someone else was unsure or feeling down or just having a moment where they weren't sure of their place, and he would stop what he was doing and he would make a way to include you, no matter what that was. One of my favorite moments with him is at LARP, but was that kind of an event game where I missed out on kind of like timing. I don't hear very well, and I mistook, you know, people what they were saying, and I missed the sign up for something, and I wasn't gonna say that I was upset about it, but I was sad. And he basically literally stopped, walked back over, and was like, "You have time. Here's a card. Here's what you need to do. Do it." And I won the event that he was running that year. And the whole lead up to winning, I was just kind of like, all I was loving was the fact that he stopped and wasn't just going to be like, "Oh, sorry, you missed out, maybe next time." No, he stopped and said, "There's room for you. We're going to make room for you. Please come play. Please do this. I know you want to do it." Berek had that way of completely always telling you that you were loved. Those 3 words often came out of his mouth. No matter what the conversation was, or no matter how heavy it was, he would look at you, or he would say to you in a chat, "You are loved, and I hope you don't let anyone ever diminish that." You know, one of the most recent things, and the last things, that the actual last conversation I had with him, you know, I would pop up, he'd pop up, "Hey lady, I missed your face. Hey, I missed your face too." And I said, you know, "I miss you." And he said, "Oh, I miss you too. You give good hugs and I need lots of them. But I've almost got 2 legs again. And once I learn how to walk on them, I can come back and play silly games and get to cuddle with you." And one of the things with Berek is he truly exemplified, and we've talked about this, that sense of agape, that sense of unconditional love that is out in the world. And, you know, I always had a lot of conditions growing up. So when I meet other people, and I met Berek, this sense of trying to be able to give other people unconditional love and worrying about whether I even had the capacity to do that, I knew I did when I met Berek. I knew that it was humanly possible. And I knew that I had a great example of someone that I could look at, someone that I could be strong with and who would support me with, and someone who at the end of the day would just love you no matter what happened. He used to laugh because one of my favorite people or heroes is Mr. Rogers, the Mr. Rogers neighborhood Mr. Rogers. He joked one time that I was basically like his Mr. Rogers, but I ended up getting the world according to him, and I would try to say things to him when I had the opportunity. And I actually had marked a couple pages out, and I'd never really gotten to share them, but one of them says, when we love a person, we accept him or her exactly as they are. The lovely with the unlovely, the strong along with the fearful, the true mixed in with the facade. And of course, the only way we can do it is also by accepting ourselves. And that was something, you know, he would exemplify in me, is no matter what I was doing or no matter how I felt, like he loved me for who I was, and accepted me loving him for who he was. When it came to our places, I would sometimes like not go just for weeks or on end, just because I couldn't do it. I couldn't get out of the house, or I'd have these like, you know, agoraphobic moments, and he would text me or he'd say like, hello, how are things? And I would tell him, and he was like, well, I understand how you feel and hope that the next time you are able to come, I'll be able to hug you. And I'd text him the morning of a game and be like, hey, you're going to be at game today. And he would be like, yeah, I'm going to be there. And he'd be like, okay, I can do this because Berek's going to be there, because Becca is going to be there. And I think, Becca, you said it the most concisely, is Berek had a way of being a translator of people to the world. He had a way of not just showing people things about themselves, but also translating how those people were into like this living world, and giving them opportunities, or giving me and other people opportunities to like more understand like our place, and then having the world understand us. He just, I can't, you know, when I got that call in, and some people have said it before, it was angry. It was angry at the fact of this whole crazy nonsense, and somebody like Berek was gone. I did not expect that call. I thought it was going to be someone else in the hospital. And so I was angry, much like I know some of you were probably very angry to think why Berek. And for me, one of the things I remember through him is it's okay to say this sucks, because he often said, no, this is right now I'm feeling very sucky and this is BS. It's okay to like be angry. It's okay to ask why. That doesn't diminish away from your ability to be kind. In fact, it sometimes reinforces it the more you process it. So we talk a lot too about how when you remember somebody, they live in you. And all of the things that each person has talked about before me are all amazing ways to remember him, and to, like was said, bring that goodness and that kindness out into the world. I know I will. I know I'm looking forward to Disney hotel plans, because hell yes, we're gonna party in Disney. But that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I know many of you are going to do, is to turn around and take every positive thing he taught us and put it out there, because that who he was true love. So thank you.
Okay, thank you all for coming and being here today. I'll get this up on YouTube as soon as I can. And hopefully we can all get together soon. Hopefully. I'm saving his t-shirts and figures and stuff. And when COVID is no longer a thing, I'd like as many of you as can come over and we'll spend a day going through them and sharing them and getting very, very drunk. Yeah. Thank you all.